Welcome back to the podcast, guys. I'm just gonna warn you guys right now. My voice is a little messed up. I've been like having a sore throat for the past couple of days. So if you hear me wheeze or like crack every once in a while, it's just because I'm not feeling that great. But that being said, we still got to get you a dissection.
We're taking a look at the Indie World Showcase that just happened, and we're actually like going to be on top of it this time, which is kind of cool. I think it's fun to some of the stuff they showed. I think there's some cool stuff. There's some fine stuff. I don't know. So sometimes with indie games,
there's some fine stuff, and then there's some stuff.
Yeah, I guess the thing with like indie games is you don't know what the hidden gems are until they happen. Because like sometimes just looking at the footage, you're like, I don't know, that seems okay. But then until you actually dive into it, you're like, oh wait, this is like really good. But they did kick it off with a real banger. They opened it up with Mina the Hollower, which I have heard. I've heard that name before. But this is like the new one being developed by like the team that did Shovel Knight and the other Shovel Knight games, and I loved all of those. Have you played any of them?
I unfortunately never got a chance to play any of the Shovel Knights. I've been
Really?
wanting to. The problem is, just I just have so many games on my plate.
Yeah, that's
don't know how to
fair.
get through them.
Because what is it? When they first it was basically on every platform. Like it was on the 3DS too. But when they first put it on Switch, I got it, and that was still before I think the last game, like the King Knight, was released. But then they did a cool thing where you could buy the like game bundle, and then as they released more games, it was just free. You just like got the rest of the games, and all of them each had like their own unique charm. But I think oh, what's his name now? Now I can't even remember his name. My favorite one.
I will say, while you're looking that up, this looks a lot more fleshed out than Shovel Knight. Shovel Knight was like a linear game where you just like go through levels, like kind of like your basic platformer. Whereas this one, this seems like it has like a whole story and it has like individual characters you can learn about and everything you can do, and that seems really interesting. Also, you just play as a cool little mouse who does magic. That's fire. I will say, it looks like they lean more into the 8-bit than they did with Shovel Knight.
They kind of had a lot more animations. Spectre Knight. His game was my favorite. That one was like the best one. But they all had their own unique charms, and they were all good. So I'm curious to see how that goes. And also, you play as like a mouse in this one, so that's something.
Yeah, it does seem interesting, and it does seem exciting. I don't know. When it comes to indie games, I like to wait for Jared to play them and let me know if they play it. Because I'm just not really a big indie game guy. The only big indie games that I've played are like the big ones everybody knows, like Hades and things like that, you know?
Well, and the thing that's interesting too, like, I guess about Nintendo and what they've kind of done, and like the other companies do this too, but Nintendo has kind of put a focus on the indie games. I mean, they had this whole indie showcase just to like show all the indie stuff that's coming to their console, which is where I played a bunch of indie stuff on like the first Nintendo Switch. So I'm glad they're kind of sticking with that for the sequel. So and as some of the later games we'll talk about, they are taking advantage of some of the new Switch 2 stuff. So curious to see how that goes. But the next one, you kind of like the next one, which was Well Dweller.
The next one, Well Dweller, the animation actually looks really good for an indie game, for an indie platformer. It looks really good. Some of the jokes they cracked in the trailer were really funny.
Yeah, I do kind of like when the main character, even in like some of these like indie 2D platformers, actually like is a character. Because like even with Shovel Knight, I'll be honest with you, Shovel Knight, not much of a character. Not much kind of there. Really, in general. Even like Hollow Knight, main guy, doesn't really talk much. But this guy was like cracking jokes, which I kind of in like a good way.
I like it when games have characters that are just like really no nonsense and just like react the same way a normal person would. Like there's one joke where he's like, "You don't like the way the queen is running things. Why don't you just quit then?"
Yeah, just leave. That is one thing I appreciated about like Celeste, was it's about like her and the mountain, and she does like meet a few people along the way, but like she does have a voice. She is like a character throughout the entire game, which I thought was kind of nice. So, you know. Depends how each game does it.
Yeah, it does seem really good. The graphics seem cool. Like the game mechanics seem cool. Like there's a point where you get a slingshot and you have to use that to make your own platforms to traverse certain walls. I do like games like that where sometimes you have to make your own path. I think that's fun. And it just seems like an overall interesting story, and it also seems like it's going to be free roam, which I kind of like. Through free roam platformers. I will say the only one that did me off about that is when indie game played The Messenger. Jared really liked The Messenger. I didn't like when it turned into free roam and I had to do a bunch of stuff. I
What,
was like,
really? Oh my
I was
gosh.
kind of joining the linear, turn my brain off, and then I was like, now I have to go look for all these things, and I'm like, I was also
Did
just
you ever
playing.
beat it after that?
No, I was just playing it at work, and I never got around to beating it because
Dang.
that was when we started putting specific games on Showcase. So then the game got
Oh
taken
yeah,
out. So I
yeah.
was like, if I remember
Oh
to, I'll
well.
finish it. I thought
Fair
about just like
enough.
looking up a guide to tell me where everything was, and then I never got around to it.
Oh, but hey, that's a good one if you haven't played it before.
The
Messenger,
problem
so
was is
good.
like the problem was is it came me off guard, caught me off guard. But a game
That
like
is a whole plot twist with that game. Is it's like, oh, you think the game's one thing, it's another thing.
there's like 3 times where you think you've beaten the game and then another thing happens, which I thought was really funny. But with Well Dweller, it does seem like it's gonna be like full like free roam the entire
Yeah,
time.
that's what the game is.
And it does look interesting.
Um,
I'm really excited for that one.
the next one, I was like, this seems okay. But then I heard some of the names behind it, and they're like, basically every indie person who's worked on like a big indie game, like there were people who worked on Fez, people who worked on like the soundtrack of Celeste, people who worked on like a bunch of these other big names are all like on this project, and it does seem kind of cool. Like some of the art looks really good, and they were like they were saying a lot of things that I don't think they were showing. They're like, oh, you can talk with the villagers, you can do romance, you can like make these connections, level up, build all this stuff, you can do all this adventure, and I wasn't seeing that in the gameplay, but it does. I don't know. Based on what they were saying, it does seem interesting.
That's super cool, man. You gonna tell them the name of it?
Oh yeah, that's so it's called Neverway.
You said all this cool stuff, and they have no clue what the hell you're talking about.
I had to build up to it.
And I don't necessarily agree with what you said about like how they weren't really showing things. I think they kind of showed them, like they kind of show.
Okay.
They didn't show them exactly and show like full gameplay of it, but they did show
Yeah.
like how you can make these people, you can romance them, or you can even deceive them. Because the whole plot of the game is you're taking over this farm on like this ancient deity's burial ground, and then I think he gives you like a cool sword, and then you start using the sword to traverse through this dimensional like thing. I don't know what did they describe it as?
I don't know. The dimension
It's a different
thing.
dimension that's melding into yours, and it's called like the Neverway, I think it's called. So you're like traversing through there, and then I think what it sounds like it's gonna be you can either protect your little farm area and like keep everybody in the town safe, or you can use like the fact that you know about all this stuff to deceive them, and then you can like help this deity and like pay him back for giving you all this power. Because I'm assuming he gives you the sword. That was the vibes I was getting. Because they do specifically say you can deceive people for like your own gain, and I'm like, I think that's kind of interesting. It seems like it's gonna be an interesting game.
Yeah, I'm excited to check this one out. I do also I thought it was funny because partway through, your character's like lying on the bed and they have like an Among Us on the shirt, and I was like, oh, it's Among Us, and it makes sense actually because it is published by Outer Sloth, which is the their like publishing brand from Inner Sloth that they're like helping to publish other indie stuff.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, that's cute.
They have a bunch of indie developers on this. I will say the only thing I disliked about this direct, which came up with this one, is a lot of the games were just like coming out later this year or just a demo.
Yeah,
there all these things. I think there was a total of 2 games that are coming out like now, like today.
Yeah, I think that sounds about right. Yeah. Well, the Mean of the Hollower does have a demo, so that's something.
Yeah, but demos are only like an hour, 2 hours long.
Yeah, I don't know. The thing too, I don't know about you, but I feel like as I've gotten older and I have less time, I'm like, I could play a demo, or I could keep playing games I want to play and then play the full game when it finally releases. Because by the time I beat this other game I'm playing, I'll be ready for this new game that when it finally releases.
I've never been a demo player.
Really?
I'm like, I don't want to get excited for this game and then not be able to play it for like a long time. I want to.
I guess that's
I want to
fair.
like see, especially if it's a game I know nothing about. Like specifically with indie games, for example. I said I don't play a lot of indie games. I like to wait for Jared to play them. If I played an indie game and I played the demo, and I liked it, and then I have to wait a year for it to come out, I'm like, ugh, that's lame. When I can just wait for Jared to play it and tell me like, yeah, it's a good game, you should play it, and I'm like, okay, then I'm willing to spend my money, you know?
Yeah, okay. I don't know. Maybe it just stems back from when I was younger and I used to got those like demo discs on like the magazine, and then I put those in, like try a bunch of like little games, and like I still think about some of those to this day.
Kids.
Yeah, did you not?
No, my version of demos is we used to go to the local video store that was in our town, and I would rent out the games and I'd play them. And that's
I mean, I did that too.
But I mean, like that was my main way of trying out games. Is I'd rent out.
I guess it was kind of a demo.
I almost
That's
never
crazy.
return the game. I'd always play. We'd always end up having to pay for it. I think that's how I got my copy of Super Mario Strikers for the GameCube.
Because you just held on to it.
Yeah, we almost never returned the game.
Well, the next one on the list was Hurdling, which seems okay. Seems fine. I don't know. It's by, what is it? They said the people who did Firewatch. And I don't know. It seems okay. You're like herding a bunch of, what did they call them? They were like
call them
something corns. Calicorns.
Calicorns, yes, calicorns. You're hurting calicorns.
It
I
seems
have a
cute.
problem-
Seems fine. I don't know.
I have a problem with animal games in general.
Oh,
It all stems back to when The Last Guardian released, and me and Jared decided to play it while we waited for we were waiting for some event for our cadet squadron. We're playing it in the room, and oh my god, the animals are just stupid. They're the dumbest thing ever. This animal would not listen to a single thing me or Jared told them to do. And I know that was like a mechanic of the game, but it was just annoying. And I feel like I'm just gonna have the same thing for this. Like I feel like at the start they're just not gonna listen to you or something like that, you know?
Well, it's crazy because that's what some people love about it. Like, there's so many people I hear talk about like The Last Guardian. And they're like, "Oh, I love that game." Like, you know, the playing with the dog thing. It's like so good. And I was like, I had such a bad experience. They're like, "Well, you know, he doesn't listen sometimes, but that's like part of it because normal animals don't listen." And I'm like, oh my gosh. I mean,
And
that's
you're
why
like, he only listened to you.
I don't have pets.
You're telling me he didn't listen to you sometimes? When I tell you this dog didn't listen to a single thing me and Jared told him to do, not one thing.
I think he just had bad training.
I think he did, yeah. I think he just nobody can stand him. Other than that, it looks pretty good. I do like the idea that you have to bring them all to the top. I don't know what you're going to the top for. Maybe you heard of there's a special place up there for these creatures. Like maybe they're extinct or something like that. I don't know. They didn't give much info onto the story behind it. They kind of just said you're herding these little things up a mountain to get to the peak.
The next one, it seems a little silly, but I kind of think it's cute. Which is this seat taken? It was just like a cute little puzzle game where you have to try and put people in different seats according to their preferences. So it's a little puzzle game all about that. Which I mean, seems fun. Seems cute. I think this will probably. Well, I was thinking about this. I'm like, this seems something that would be good on PC because you're dragging these little guys, putting them in different chairs, matching the criteria. But then I realized the Switch 2 does have a mouse you could probably use. I wonder if they're going to use that. You could use.
See, it's weird because they didn't add. There's a Nintendo Switch 2 section specifically in the indie world, and they didn't add this to that section. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I will say I've never had a problem with cursor games when it comes to Switch or any console.
I think the thing I've noticed, maybe about just me personally, was as I don't know, as I've used PC gaming more, just having the more precise control and also just the cursor speed, because I know some games just have the cursor speed way too slow. It is just nice to just quickly do what you need to do.
I will say this was one of the rare ones that was coming out today.
Yeah, so there's something.
Taken is coming out later today, and that's kind of hype. By the time you see this video, it'll be out already because this is coming out the day after Indie World. So by then it will already be out, but it does seem interesting, and if it's not too expensive, maybe I'll grab it. The other thing that they started to showcase was an update for Little Kitty Big City.
I don't think this needed as big of a time as it needed.
I don't think it did either. It definitely felt like filler. Also, it's not even coming out till later this year. And when games say later this year, it's not till November, December type vibes, you know?
And it's crazy because I've heard really good things about Little Kitty Big City. Don't get me wrong. Some people have played it. I've heard they've loved it. I do still want to play it. But this update was just hey guys, there's a photo mode. And I was like, do we need
pictures of your cat now? And also, you may be a little kitty in the big city, but now you can do what freaking dogs do, man.
You can dig a little bit.
It seemed like a whole section for something that didn't need a whole section. And I was like,
it wasn't even if it was a big DLC thing where it's hey, now you get to go to the suburbs or this new area of the city or something where it's oh, okay, there's something there.
Sewers, that's what I need.
Yeah, I don't know, something.
It felt like a nothing burger. I hate to say it, and that's no disrespect to anybody at Little Kitty Big City. It just felt like they needed filler, and they're like, "Do you guys got anything?" You know? And they're like, "We got this."
Which is crazy because there was some games in this end montage that I think could have taken that slot better, but
yeah, 100%. I think it just didn't need to be there.
And then next up, content warning.
Yes, they're adding content warning to Switch, and I assume Switch. No, they're adding it to Switch too. They
Yeah.
never necessarily said they're adding it to Switch. I think it's just going to Switch 2.
Well, and it makes sense because the Switch 2 has the game chat feature, which lets you basically do a Discord call with everyone, which works so well for content warning. And the Switch has the built-in microphone, so you can just do that with the basic Switch 2 console. So it just works for like the game, which I think is really cool. So if you have a Switch 2, you can just get the game and then play with other people, and it just good.
Content warning, just a fun game. Just a fun
Just
game to
good.
get together with your friends. I will say my only gripe with content warning when I was playing it is it got really boring really quick. They didn't have as much content as I think they should have had, but that's fair. It's an indie game. I'm not expecting them to come out with like a 60 gigabyte game. I just wanted a little bit more, you know?
Yeah, because it was definitely under $20 when I bought it, and I'm sure it probably isn't going to be too expensive on Switch 2. The only other issue I have is this game. Did it come out last year on PC?
No, it came out at least I think it came out 2 years ago.
Hang on, let me look.
No, that doesn't sound right.
let me just get that fact. Yeah, it came
22.
out April 1st last year because it was like an April Fool's thing.
So it's getting close to being like a year old.
Yeah, and so they said that it's going to be releasing next year, which
yeah,
that's my only thing is I'm like, okay, it's getting a little old.
It is going to be on Switch 2 and Switch, but it's going to be available next year. So I'm like, are they still going to be pumping out content, or are they putting all of their time into just making a Switch 2 version? So I don't know if that's going to be, I don't know if people are going to be hyped for that. I think it's going to be hard for people to be hyped for that because it's a game that's already come out. It's probably a game they've already played. Anybody who's played it on PCs probably already owns a Switch or Switch 2. And I think it's like tough for indie games like that when you're releasing a game that everybody has access to and then you release it on a different console. I think the only people that might be able to play this are like kids who didn't have a computer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They've
seen videos online and they're like, oh, now I can play it, you know.
Which is still good, but like you're making them wait till next year for a game that you've already finished making. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's just because it's a crazy game. I don't know. I will say Landfall games.
It does. There is development for putting it on a console, and like there is some stuff behind the scenes that have to happen.
Yeah,
but...
I will say for some reason, Landfall games that usually look really cartoony and like games that look like we usually run for some reason just have a hard time running on most computers. I don't know what they're putting in there, but sometimes they're just crazy.
Well, I follow them on like social media, and they're just like real people, which is funny. But like sometimes like because they also did like Totally Accurate Battle Simulator, and people were like. Yeah, and people were like, oh man, like, we love Totally Accurate Battle Simulator. Could you put it on more stuff? Could you add some updates? And they're like, guys, this stuff is held together with sticks and duct tape. Like, if we do anything else to this game, it falls apart. And then they're like, what? And they're like, yeah, we can't touch this thing anymore.
Which is like fair. It's an indie developer. You don't necessarily like. I think that was like their first game too that they released.
Yeah.
After that, they talked about another game. It's called Ball Pit. I will say the intro to this game, they just had a guy holding fruit with an apple on his head, and it was the most awkward thing I've ever seen in my life. He looked like he didn't want to be there. It looked like they picked the one person who was okay with being on camera at the development studio, and they're like, "Yeah, you're gonna do this." Other than that, if you ignore that, it looks like a fun game. It looks like a fun game.
I mean, there's like town building elements and like different characters to collect, but the whole actual gameplay is it's like auto-scrolling like what's
auto-scrolling
the comparison?
Peggle is what it is. It's auto-scrolling Peggle. You basically it's even closer to like, you ever seen like those game ads when they're like play Arch Arrow on the iOS when you're like scrolling through?
Yeah, one of those things.
It kind of seemed like one of those where it's like you start off with like a character and then you level up and progress and you have to keep killing enemies that show up in front of you. Except in this case, it's an auto-scrolling and you're just in like one line and you're just killing everything in front of you and you're trying to avoid the attacks while you're just constantly pumping out damage because the balls will just bounce everywhere. So you just have to shoot them forward and at some point it will hit them.
And I think the I guess most interesting part of the gameplay is not necessarily like shooting the balls, because at a certain point there's just so many balls on the screen. It's more about like the upgrades and choosing which combos work well together and like, you know, optimizing your like ball build.
Sure.
And I kind of like this. I think it'll be good. It seems like you were saying, those like phone games, it seems like this is like just the best version of that, because it's like someone actually cares, you know?
And it gives me the vibes of like when you were younger and you go to your computer class and you're just looking for a game to play, and then you find like one of those like those easy little like progression games where like you get to like, you know, like that old plane game that was on the computer where you start off with a really bad plane and then you fly a certain amount of feet and you get money and you have to keep upgrading your plane and keep getting farther and farther until you get to the end.
I was just talking to my roommate with that. I was like, oh, you ever play this game Johnny Upgrade? That's like the whole point of it is like you just keep going and getting slightly better throughout the entire game.
Mm-hmm. I like games like that for some reason. They're just really nice. It does seem fun. It's not coming out till I think it's fall. Oh, Nintendo Switch 2 this fall, but then it's coming out on the Switch in October.
Yeah, a little earlier. It makes sense. They probably were working on it for Switch, and then they're like, hey guys, Switch 2 exists, and they're like, oh, I guess we'll come out for that too.
Yeah. After that, we saw something interesting. This is a game that Jared's been trying to get me to play for so long. These are the same developers who made this game. Jared's been trying to get me to play Ultimate Chicken Horse with him for so long. He really wants to play Ultimate Chicken Horse.
It's super fun. You like all
fun.
you get together with friends, you get to build a thing and try and finish the course. And then this just seems like the next level. Now you're like racing and doing extra stuff.
The only reason I haven't played it is just because I don't have money to buy it. For some reason, for a game that's really fun and like really repeatable, pretty expensive for an indie game, I will say. But like this one's called Ultimate Sheep Raccoon is what it's called, and it's basically the same thing as Ultimate Chicken Horse, except you're making a track that you're racing on and like little bikes as your characters, which seems really fun. There's not really that much else to it. It's just picture Ultimate Chicken Horse, but you're racing on a bike.
It's like the next step in the series. Makes sense.
They didn't really necessarily say if it's its own game or if it's like an add-on of like Ultimate Chicken Horse.
No, I think it is like the next game they're doing.
Yeah, I think it's its own game coming to Switch 2 and Nintendo Switch. I don't know when. They didn't necessarily say. They just said it is. Oh, winter 2025 is when it's coming. So I'm excited for that. And then we moved on to a game called Glaciered. It was one of those games that was there. I don't think necessarily me or Jared were excited for it.
It seems cool. It seems like they put a lot of work into it. I don't know. Maybe this is one of those games where maybe it'll come out and people will be like, wow, this game is really good. I mean, it seems like there's a lot of stuff in it. There's like, upgrades and ranged combat, melee combat, and you're like this dinosaur in the water who has to do some stuff.
Yeah.
I think the thing that instantly turns me off is the whole game is underwater. And I know everyone loves Subnautica, but like, I don't know, something about just underwater games, the controls, even in Subnautica, which is like mostly good, I don't know, it's just never the greatest.
It kind of reminds me of like if the man-eating shark game, like Maneater, was worked on by the Subnautica team. That's the kind of vibes it gives me. And I'm like, it seems interesting. I'm probably not gonna buy it. I'm probably not gonna play it, but I can see how this would appeal to some people, and I think they'll still do well. I think.
And then next up they did when
you talk about when it releases, how dare you?
Okay.
How dare you? It just says this holiday.
And then after that,
they burned through a bunch of games.
They did Rapid Fire.
And they did Winterboro, which we did already kind of see in their first. I think they showed it in their Nintendo Switch 2 Direct.
Yeah, it's like the cute little mouse cozy game thing.
Yeah, Cozy Mouse game kind of has like the same images that you see in like the Winnie the Pooh books when you were younger. That's like the image type thing. And then moved on to Undusted Letters from the Past. What is just like a cleaning game where you just clean old stuff. Maybe there's like a story to every item you clean and things like that. What else was there?
Tiny bookshop where you gotta, I don't know, sell books. It seemed okay. I don't know. It seemed fine.
That seems like something like some like easy little simulator game. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then the next one, Caves of Cud, I think maybe is how it's pronounced.
Quid or something like that. Holy shit. I looked at this and so much shit was flying on my screen. I didn't know what was happening. It kind of looks like if somebody was like making a game, but they didn't they didn't finish any of the graphics, and it's running on like a Raspberry Pi, and like it looks crazy.
Well, okay, here I have a screenshot because there's like there's HP, there's level, there's like it's all like kind of pixel graphics, like 8-bit stuff with like different images on like a grid, and then there's like bars at the bottom with different commands, message log on the side, a mini map, and then like a bunch of numbers and maybe coordinates up top. Like there's so much going on, and just as someone who hasn't played this game and that's just the first look I get, I'm like instantly turned off. I'm like, what is happening on this screen?
It was kind of crazy. The next game they show off after that was
Strange Antiquities.
Strange Antiquities, yeah. That one kind of gives me the vibes of like you're selling things that are like cursed to people, and like things that you're running like a cursed item shop.
Yeah, I have heard. I think I've heard good things about this one. I think that's the one I'm thinking of, and people have said that it is pretty good.
Next, they show off Opus Prism Break Peak. I don't never heard much about the game.
No, okay, but like I think this should have got the little kitty big city slot. Like this, I was like, what is happening in this game? There's like, I don't know, like maybe a dad and like a young girl, and then there's like some creatures and like some things happening, and I'm like, I want to know more about whatever the heck is going on in this thing.
Yeah, that game definitely could have got a bigger slot for sure. It looked interesting, but I didn't see enough for me to like have an opinion. All I can really say is it looks cool.
I'm gonna look more into it probably when it releases, but
yeah. And then they showed off Go Go Town. It just seems like a fun little like town simulator game.
It almost reminds me of like My Sims a little bit. But yeah, just something cute little game like that.
And then they showed off one more game, and when I tell you, Jag was so excited for this.
It's crazy because like you hadn't heard about it, but like last year I think is when it released, and it came out on PC exclusively. This is UFO 50, and at the time people were raving about it because what it is a bunch of studios worked on this game, and there's 50 games in one, and the whole premise is it's this fake development studio. Well, it is a fake development studio that like made all of these games. So you get to see their timeline on like all the stuff they've done, and you know they get progressively better. They get like different. They try some different styles, and there's like a bunch of different unique gameplay things that happen. And there's even like some sequels to past games in the franchises in this whole package. And people are raving about it, like how cool it is and awesome, and how you just don't see a lot of stuff like it, and how we probably never will. But the thing was, it was only on PC, and of course, it's emulating like. I think it's supposed to be like the SNES era. I haven't played it. But like, you know, starting there and kind of progressing through like console generations. Mm-hmm. And so people are like, does it be perfect on like a Nintendo console? And then it just never happened until now. They finally like are like, oh yeah, it's happening. And maybe I missed an announcement earlier. Maybe they for sure said it's happening, but we did finally get to see it here. And I was like, oh, this is perfect. And the best part is they're like, it's out now. And I was like, whoa, yeah, that's what I'm playing today. So that is super cool. And I think that's definitely worth checking out because I've been waiting to take a look at it.
All in all, that was the last thing they showed off at the Direct. And all in all, I thought it was pretty good. A lot of the games look interesting. I know people are mad there was no Silk Song update, but
one day, one day.
I will say, if you are interested in going to see Silk Song, they are going to be showcasing it at Gamescom this year. So if you're in the States and you're nearby, go check it out. Go play it. And if you're that curious, I still need to play the first one, so I don't know.
You gotta. It's good.
Yeah. Okay. I guess before we end, let's really quickly go through what game are you most excited for.
Most excited for. Okay, I got two. I think the one I'm gonna be playing today is like UFO 50, but the one I'm like excited to play that like I think is cool that they showed was Mina the Hollower, because I think. I'm probably going to be playing that. That's an instant buy when it releases.
I think mine is Well Dweller. Well Dweller seems really cool.
Okay.
That might be a game I might not need your opinion for. I might just go try it.
I'm just going to go check it out.
That's about it. Thank you guys for checking out the Dissect. I know I said we were going to do a manga for the first episode, but this thing came out recently. We were like, we actually really want to talk about this, so we'll do a dissection on that. Manga one will be the next one for sure. I
got notes. I got it prepped. It'll happen.
He's got everything he needs. He's ready. He's actually read it this time. Other than that, that's about it. Next episode will just be a regular podcast episode. We'll see you guys in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.